So, welcome to the session. We are now on we are coming to the end of chapter 4, which is the main chapter of this book, which Master has titled Spiritual Findings. So, we are now coming to the near the end of that. We are on page 108, 108, page 108. So, the heading here is discernment. Let's read what Master has told us about discernment. Lord Buddha and the great spiritual teachers have repeatedly taught their students to practice discernment or intelligent evaluation. So, another word for discernment that Master uses quite often, Master Choa uses quite often, is intelligent evaluation. A student must practice discernment. Do not believe a statement to be true just because someone said so. Why it is in quotations? Because a lot of times people will say, oh, well, why do you believe this? Because so and so said this. Do not believe something to be true because someone claims information has been received through inner transmission. So many times people will try to impose some ideas on you by saying that it came to me through my intuition, or it came to me through inner transmission, or I connected with the guru and he told me this, etc., etc. So master is saying don't believe something to be true because of that. So how do you believe something? Use discernment. Now see how stringent this requirement is. Do not believe something to be true just because MCKS said so. So even if your guru says so, don't believe it just like that. Practice arhatic yoga diligently. What is the what is the purpose of arhatic yoga? To develop our ability to think independently, to have intelligent students. So, if we practice Arhatic Yoga diligently, it involves examining every belief, examining what we believe to be true. Validate the truth for yourself. Use intelligent evaluation. If the student is not in a position to validate the truth as of the moment, at that time, somebody tells you something you cannot validate at that time, then he should check at least the track record of the teacher. Have the previous teachings of the teacher been validated? If yes, then the other teachings may be considered to be tentative truth for the moment until the student is in a position to validate them for himself or herself, so it's the same thing. So this is really very, very important instruction or teaching from Master Choa. It summarizes actually his approach to life, his approach to his, teachings and preachings, his approach even to spirituality. Now he makes it very clear. He doesn't want blind belief. He doesn't want blind followers. He wants students, students who will study, who will apply their minds, who will think independently. Just like to share a couple of slides because this aspect is kind of universal. So here is a quotation from Lord Buddha where he makes it clear: do not believe in anything simply because you have heard it. Many people believe it, still doesn't make it true. It is found in religious books, holy books, still does not mean it is necessarily true. Because somebody with authority is saying does not mean it is true. It may have been like a tradition handed down from generation to generation, doesn't mean it is true. What you need to do, how do you come to some belief after observation, analysis? When you see, yes, it does not conflict with logic, it does not disagree with reason. And then Lord Buddha also says it is conducive to the good and benefit of one and all. Then you accept it and then you live up to it. Yeah. See, you can see how Master, his teachings are universally, sort of taught. Now, another place. Now, if you look at the Upanishads, in the Upanishads, they give the requirements of a spiritual aspirant. Okay, you say, yes, I want to attain Brahma Gyan, knowledge or oneness with God. What is the requirement? When are you ready to start pursuing that? So they call it sadhana chatushtaya, the fourfold requirement for a spiritual aspirant. And notice the first one. What is the first one? Viveka, which is the same as discernment, just English, Sanskrit and Hindi. Very, very important requirement. Without Viveka, you will have to, resort to blind belief. And that is, according to all the good teachers, that is not a good idea. अंधविश्वास अंधविश्वास के आधार पे हमें आगे बढ़ने की कोशिश नहीं करनी है. वी शुड नॉट ट्राई टू प्रोग्रेस ऑन द basis of blind beliefs, superstitious beliefs. So this, even in life actually, you see, and let me approach this from yet another angle. We are also currently doing this book study, Man and His Bodies. If you are interested, the recordings are also available. You can go through that. This is a book by Annie Besant, who's, a very leading theosophist. So she is talking about the mental body. When she talks about the mental body, she reminds us that our human race in our current cycle, so four cycles have gone already. Currently, the human race is in its fifth cycle. Now, in the fifth cycle, the objective, the goal, the target is to develop our intellect. And she says the way to develop the intellect is through mental effort, through independent exercise. Independent mental efforts and exercises. Think independently. Mostly our thoughts, our knowledge, our information is borrowed. But what she guides us is you get that, it comes into your mind needs to process it. What Master calls intelligent evaluation. And as we do that, our mental body grows. In the previous four cycles, already our physical body, astral bodies have matured. They are quite evolved, quite evolved. In the astral body, we only need to now filter out the lower, the negative emotions and, absorb more of the positive emotions. Basically, unselfishness and so on. But in the mental body, there is still a long way for the human race to develop. And our development will come when we learn to think independently. When we learn to think for ourselves. Yeah. And by the way, in the modern age where there is so much misinformation and disinformation, and people are calling you up and saying, okay, give me your, OTP and give me your, this information and that information and so on. Even in our day to day life, there's so much fake news, there's so much of misinformation. We need discernment even just in ordinary life. Otherwise, we are easily fooled. We can fall victim to a scam. I'm sure you are aware there's so much of scamming that goes on. Somebody will call you and say, I'm calling from the so and so police department, and there is this report against you, and we are going to arrest you, and you have to give me this information, that information. And we get scared, and a lot of people get scared and they give that information, and then they lose money or they suffer some big loss. And it turns out to be a scam. There's no policeman who will call and ask for information like that. So discernment, what is correct, what is incorrect, what is true, what is false, what is important, what is not important. You see, another aspect to this in day-to-day life. All of us have the same 24 hours. Whether it is, your country's prime minister or the president or all of us, and each of us has only 24 hours. Each of us in 1 year gets the same 365 days. The question is, how do we use that limited time? In that limited time, prioritization, being clear about what is important, what is less important, what is not important, that is a very important skill, and that skill is also a part of discernment. Discernment means being able to separate things out. The symbol used for viveka or discernment in some Indian spiritual schools is the swan, because as the mythical animal, it is believed that it can separate milk from water. So it's used as a symbol of discernment. You should be able to separate what is important from noise. In engineering, we use this term signal to noise ratio. So you should be able to extract the signal, what is valuable, from the rest, which is all unvaluable, not valuable, or useless. And Master Choa has really emphasized intelligent evaluation, because you see, Viveka is what you have developed, but what is the process to develop it? The process is intelligent evaluation. On everything, you apply intelligent evaluation. You evaluate things intelligently. It's a key part of one of the virtues. You remember the five virtues. One of the virtues is accurate perception, correct expression. But between perception and expression comes intelligent evaluation. And one other aspect of this, another virtue that is related to this, is industriousness, mental industriousness. I think when I look around me, I mean, I'm not saying being personal about anybody, but what I see is that the most common weakness is mental laziness. We don't want to think. I'm sure many of you are not subject to that, but most of us want shortcuts. We want, ready-made solutions, shortcuts in terms of shortcuts to thinking. Just tell me what is needed to be done. Don't ask me to think. So that is a common failing. That is a common weakness. And the only way to overcome that is by thinking, by learning to think, thinking independently, creatively, positively, of course, and using the mind. You see, the mind is also likened to like you have the physical body, and to keep it healthy, you need to do physical exercises. So similarly, the mental body, it also needs exercise. What is the exercise for the mental body? It is to think. So make it think. Use it for thinking. You, the soul, are need to be in control of the mental body. And one aspect of this, I can, if I may say, the importance of questioning. But questioning not to challenge, but questioning to validate, to verify. So it's important to question everything. Why is this so? How is it so? Because anybody can say anything. Like Master has just told us, anybody can say anything. You need to question to be able to get to the details. The term understand, it comes. So if you look at it literally, to stand under something, you you get to that stage by questioning. Yeah. See, one thing that also happens is that we just catch beliefs. It's very easy. I think Master uses the term here. No, he's not used it here. But it's easy, it's very comfortable to just adopt or, borrow beliefs and ideas and thoughts from other people, because, we are mentally lazy. But it is an example of, when you succumb to laziness, that is now the emotions are controlling the mental faculty, which is against the Arhatic Yoga objectives. As an Arhatic yogi, we need our mental body should control the emotional body, not the other way around. And another aspect to this is Never form an opinion based entirely on other people saying so. You may accept as temporary truth if it is necessary, convenient, functionally required. You may do that. But in the long run, or in general, one should not believe things just because somebody is saying so. Yeah. Somebody says, oh, that person, I've seen that person do this bad thing. Or that person, was saying this about you. You can say, okay, maybe, but let it not become the basis of forming a permanent opinion about that person. You say, okay, it is a possibility. Then you validate, you check, you see what that person's attitude towards you is. And someone else also saying that. Yeah. And by the way, this applies to our beloved Pranic Healing and Arhatic Yoga school also. Because unfortunately, because of our mental laziness, because we want to absorb, truths and so on, we fall prey to mystical beliefs. What somebody may call higher technique. Like Master is saying, it came to me by inner transmission. So this is a higher technique. This is an advanced protocol. Some senior healer has told me this. Be careful. For me, the test is, does it get validated by the pranic healing book? So for example, somebody says, try this color combination. So I would like to check, what does master say in the advanced pranic healing book about that color combination? Or I will say, okay, what is the basis? Where has master talked about this? Where has master talked about this? Yeah, and you can use scanning also as a way to help you sometimes to validate whether something is true or not. Yeah. So we are now come to, the biggest chapter, the main chapter of this book, Spiritual Findings, chapter 4. We have come to an end of this. Now, I had mentioned in the previous session that now the remaining book part of the book, we will not read line by line. We will just discuss the summary. We will read selected portions only. Yeah. So I hope you have read to some of the pages. Anyway, a little bit we can read. So now we come to the chapter. The chapter is called Spiritual Evolution is Cyclical but on an Upward Trend. So if you go back and look at Sutra number 73. This is, it's a repetition of Sutra number. No, I'm sorry. This must be Sutra. I have mistyped. Sutra 23, is it? No. Some previous Sutra. I'm sorry. I'll just tell you. Okay, I will post it. There is a previous, maybe it was page 73, is it? Yeah, sorry. Sutra 43. I'm so sorry. Sutra number 43 on page 73. Can you just quickly read that? There, that spiral diagram has been made. You remember we read this many sessions ago. Spiritual evolution is governed by the law of cycles. It is cyclical but on an upward trend. So that sutra is being explained here. The details of that, how is it cyclical, why is it cyclical, and what does it mean it is on an upward trend. So in this chapter, master will be discussing that. And it's quite amazing. This chapter is quite amazing because master brings in a lot of scientific information, scientific, astronomical information. He also refers to other authors and books and so on. So let's start going through this. As stated earlier, the presence of the Supreme God in our galaxy is called the galactic logos or the galactic Parabrahman. You remember this. This is also one of the old sutras. The golden age or spiritual age, or what we call Satyuga, occurs when our solar system is nearest to the center of the galaxy, nearest to the galactic logos. The dark age occurs when it is farthest away. This great truth has been taught by the great spiritual teachers. This great truth has been recently clarified by Sri Yukteswar Giri in his book, The Holy Science, in 1894. By the way, Sri Yukteswar Giri is famously known as the guru of Paramahansa Yogananji, who has written that famous book, The Autobiography of a Yogi. So that book was written by Paramhansa Yogananji. His Guruji was Sri Yukteswar Giri. Now Sri Yukteswar Giri has also written this book, the Holy Science. This very interesting book. If you can get hold of it, it's available on bookstores and on Amazon, so you can buy it from there. So there he has talked about this whole astronomical phenomena which causes the yugas. You may have heard of the yugas. There are the four yugas which repeat, which come, which are like a cycle. So that is what Master will talk about later. Spiritual evolution is governed by the law of cycles. It is cyclical. Cyclical means it will go up and come down and then go up and come down, but on an upward trend. So look at the diagram on page 73. It is like a spiral, but so it is moving up. It is not, so it is not like a straight line. It is spiraling, but overall trend is upwards. Every peak is higher than the previous peak. Every lowest point is higher than the previous lowest point. Yes, you can see that. Okay, now next few pages, I'll just give you a sort of a summary. And I would suggest you please read yourself. If there are any questions, you can message me or we can discuss in the next session. So the summary is something like this. You see, now this comes from astronomy. The Earth is going around the Sun. That takes 1 year. What we call our calendar year is the time it takes for the Earth to go around the Sun. But this whole thing, the Sun and the Earth and all the planets of the Sun, are also going around the center of the galaxy, which we call Milky Way. And apparently, that center of the galaxy, by the ancient, the great sages, they have given it the name Vishnu Nabhi. And Master tells us that that is the seat of great intellectual power. All the intelligence and spiritual energy in the entire galaxy, that is the seat. From there, it is distributed. Now, this movement of the sun around the Vishnu Nabhi, the sun, the entire solar system going around the Vishnu Nabhi takes 225 or 226 million years. Not known exactly. Let's say 225 million years. Million years. That is, if you, for Indians, if you are more familiar with crores, 22.5 crore years it takes. But there is another movement, another circulation or rotation. What is that? Now, this is something that is not very well known. But Master has, Sri Yukteswar ji has talked about it, and Master has picked it up from there. So, what Master is telling us is that the sun is going around the Vishnu Nagi, but also the sun has a twin sun. I mean, there are two suns which are twins of each other. We are attached or we belong to one of the suns, one of the two. Sun, S-U-N, Surya. So, or let's say star. So, we are attached or in the orbit, we are orbiting the star which we call our sun. But there is another star, and these two are twins, and they are circling each other. If you see the diagram on in the book, just come to page 122, 123. You will see those diagrams. So our sun and the earth around it is also going around this other sun. And the two together as a unit are also going around Vishnu Nabhi. Have you understood? Now, the sun going around its twin, that takes 24,000 years. Okay? And then they keep going around the center of the galaxy, which we also know as the Vishnu Nabhi. Is this understood? Can you just do a thumbs up or something to tell me that this is understood? Yes. Have you understood? There are three movements. The Earth is going around the Sun. That takes 1 year. Sun and the entire solar system goes around the Vishnu Nabhi 225 million years. And the Sun goes around its twin. They go around each other. That takes 24,000 years. Yes, I have one yes. So I am assuming this person is speaking for everybody. If there is a no, then you please say so, because then we can discuss it more. Okay, there is no no. Now, now what happens in this cycle of 24,000 years as they are going around each other? At some point, now let's say this, focus on this. I'll use something. Focus on this. This is our solar system, and this is the other sun. So as they go around each other once in 24,000 years, for some time this comes closer. Now the Vishnu Nabhi is here. So this comes closer to the Vishnu Nabhi and then goes further away. Then comes closer, then goes away. Then comes closer, then goes away. This coming closer, goes away, again comes closer. That is a cycle of 24,000 years. Or you can say going away, farthest point, closest point, again farthest point. That takes 24,000 years. So this becomes a cycle of 24,000 years. At some point, in some time, the Earth and the Sun are closer to the galactic center, the Vishnu Nabhi, and for some time they are away. Now, when it's away, it starts moving, then comes here. Now, this is the Vishnu Nabhi, remember, is the seat of the galactic supreme God or the galactic Parabrahman. You remember there have been sutras about presence of Supreme God, Absolute Supreme God at different levels. Now, that is the seat of tremendous spiritual and intellectual energy. When our solar system is closer in the 24,000 year cycle, when it comes closer, we get more spiritual and intellectual energy. When we go further away, it reduces. This is what in the Indian scriptures is known as the yugas. As we come closer, all of humanity, all life systems on our planet are empowered. Mentally, spiritually, they evolve better. Their consciousness is automatically at a higher level. But when it goes further away in that cycle of 24,000 years, that is when the energy reduces, and that is what we call the Kala Yuga or the dark ages. And when we come closer and there is tremendous amount of energy available or much greater energy available, that is the time that is known as the golden period or the Satyug.